Welcome to CUNTY Life and Biz Realness, the uncensored show that explores how to live your truest life, what tries to get in the way, and how to grow your business as a result. I know you want to be more courageous, unapologetic, notable, transcendent, and authentically you, and you're in the right place, babe. I'm your host who's the most, Naomi, CEO and head life and biz authenticity coach at CUNTY Coaching. Let's dive in. If there's one thing that we all have in common, it's this. We all have bodies, right? So why is it then that so many of us carry so much shame with our bodies when it's what ties us all together? It is a commonality between us all that we have bodies. Why do we insist on policing each other's bodies and telling each other what's right, what's wrong, what's best, what's worst, what's desirable, what's undesirable? Why do we listen? Why do we seek all of the newest and flashiest trends and products and processes and all these things to change ourselves when we don't actually also question not changing ourselves as well? Why do we tie our body to how successful we should be or how much money we should make, how desirable we are? It just drives me up the wall. All of my life, being someone of Portuguese descendants, I was just born with the genes of body hair. It's not something that I can hide. And I don't want to anymore. I spent a lot of my life spending a lot of time, money, effort, pain to try and remove all my body hair that I didn't want in order to please others or match this kind of like desirable persona or body type or ideal that society told me about and that it showed me every single day, because we are society. So when we keep perpetuating these norms and these ideals, it pressures all of us to either fit in and conform or feel like we are left out or that we don't fit in and we don't belong. I really think that a big part of the CUNTY movement that I'm creating is this freedom and individuality that I'm begging people to consider more. Yes, I want us all to make our decisions. I'm not condemning any specific practice or procedure or anything, but I want us to be more individual. I want to be done with these norms. I want to be done with not seeing anyone that shares traits like I do, that allows themselves to actually be and not either hide or not have to change themselves in order to be out in public. It would just make me feel so much more like I can belong, like I deserve to be here and I deserve to be in this body without changing it. And you deserve to be in your body without having or feeling like you have to change it either. And for my fellow trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming friends, you know I see you and I love you. And if you feel like you want and need to change certain things of your body, certain hormonal balances, certain things to feel like your best self and your truest self, please, yes, I love it so much. In this episode, I'm focusing on the specific act of not removing my body hair, but there's so many facets to this journey, right? And to this body bliss and body love journey. And so please know that I see you, I love you, I am you, and I fully support body liberation and body euphoria in whatever ways that we and us need to find it, right? Or create it And that can look like not doing things, and that can look like doing things, right? So I just want to make that super, super clear that you are loved and welcome here, and body liberation is for everybody. And I am in no means condemning any kind of changes to the body or interventions. I am simply coming from my very specific, very one like little piece, which is non-removal of body hair in this episode. But I love that we have the freedom, we give ourselves the permission and the freedom to play with gender and find who we are and uncover who we truly are and what makes us feel free and euphoric and like our true selves in the world. And I want to encourage you to keep doing that, because it is truly, truly changing the world and the way that we accept each other and welcome each other. I know sometimes it can feel scary. A lot of times it can feel scary, right? But I am here to say that I love you and I love your journey. I see you. I'm on a similar journey of finding my true self and playing around with gender and seeing what fits and what doesn't. So thank you so much for being you, and I love you. So for the past several months, I've been co-authoring a book, the third book of a series called Body Bliss, and it's finally time to release it into the wild for you all to read. It's already available on Kindle, so if you want to support us, even if you don't have a Kindle reader, if you want to support us by purchasing the Kindle version on Amazon, that would be amazing. But if you prefer also having the physical copy, I don't blame you. I love having physical copies on my shelf. Like nothing replaces that feeling, or being able to hold a book in your hands, especially if it's written or co-written by someone that you know and love. There's nothing like that. So the physical copy is going to be available May 21st. That is very soon. When you're hearing this podcast episode, it's probably already been launched or is just about to be launched. And I'm recording this episode today to share a little bit more about why I wrote that chapter in that book and what it's all about, and why I think everyone should get their hands on this book no matter what. Similarly to what I was saying before, we all have bodies. So I think we all need to be empathetic to each other and compassionate to each other and understanding, and we need to stop expecting perfection or expecting people to do certain things with their body or look a certain way. We need to be more accepting of people, how they are, and of their own decisions. And we need to stop, idolizing certain bodies, because that really impacts and biases the choices that people will make, right? Like when there's a cultural bias, that's when you start to see these ideals and these norms start to form, because people think that that's what they should be doing. I want to live in a world where there is no should. I want to live in a world where what people should do is what makes them the happiest and the most themselves. Because when we do something to conform, we might temporarily feel good, like we belong, we fit in, but deep down, there's pain there. There is some pain. It might not even be that deep. It might be very superficial. It might be right by the surface. I also want it for representation. I wrote this book for representation because when I was a kid, when I was growing up, and still to this day, it is so rare that I see another femme or femme presenting person or woman choose to accept their body hair and embrace it and not be ashamed of it or try to hide it or not do certain activities because of it. I don't want to feel that anxiety bubbling up when I'm about to go swimming or to the beach. I don't want to feel anxiety bubbling up when the weather starts to get warmer. And the only way we're going to change these things is if we show each other that it's possible. That it's possible, that we can do hard things, that we can go against what we thought we had to do and do something differently, do something that we actually believe in. And so I wrote this chapter for whoever it is out there that either wants to understand what I've been through in my life and my perspective and my journey and my stories, and just build some compassion around this topic. But I also really wrote it as well for people like me who never saw anyone embrace their true selves growing up and suffered greatly because of that. Didn't have role models or didn't know that this was even possible. I didn't even know it was possible to live without removing body hair. I thought it was a must. Like if you didn't shave or wax or whatever, then you don't go. You don't do the thing. You don't show your skin. You cover it up. It's so oppressive. And just the hatred, like it's genuine misogyny, because this does not affect men nearly as much as it does for women and femmes, people on the feminine area of the spectrum. We are so disproportionately affected by this societal hatred and like just genuine intolerance of body hair. When I really think about it, and I've been reading the book on and off, The Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. It is such a good book. My God, if you're a woman or woman identifying, or you're on that area of the spectrum, I highly recommend this book. Or if you even just want to tap into feminine energy within you, highly recommend. And it reminds me that we are wild. We are wild creatures. And I think we hate that. We hate to remember that. And we hate to think that. Us humans, we are so egotistical. We love to feel like we're progressing and we're developing and we're civilizing and we're modernizing and all of these things. And we hate to be humbled and reminded that we are also wild creatures at heart. And we have wild needs and wild bodies, and we are one with nature. I think that's the key, right? Colonialism and harmful oppressive structures really tries to remove us from nature and domesticate us. Ooh. So I think any reminder to society that we are actually nature and we are actually wild, it's just not tolerated. It's seen as disruptive and rebellious and needing to be tamed. And I think in the era of the witch hunting, which I think really, really, really affected my lineage, I can just feel that. It still affects me to this day. So I'm really going down that path as well to just kind of discover more about it. I think us, especially like women, we felt like we needed to hide. We needed to cover up and hide and change and domesticate the parts of us that identified with our witch ancestors because they didn't survive. A lot of them did. A lot of them didn't. And I think at our core, we are nature and we want to survive. That's a shared trait among us all. We want to survive. And so we conformed, we adapted, we changed, we were oppressed. It was violent. It still is. When we don't conform, it's so sad how much violence and harassment occurs. And I want you to know that you are welcome here at CUNTY. I see you, I am you, I'm scared too. I'm always scared of how someone's going to react or threaten me or harass me, and it has happened. And I talk about that in the book. But also I share moments of triumph as well, because I've grown and I've made it like over the hump. I now can actually do it. I can be myself without changing myself. I can go outside in public without covering up, or I haven't used a razor in, I don't know, 4 years, something like that, more even. And it's not only because I'm rebelling against the system. It's also just because I want to learn what loving my body the way it is feels like. And I now know what that feels like. Or that acceptance, that unconditional acceptance of I love you the way you are. You don't have to change a thing. And I think that is so rare. That unconditional love with our bodies. How many times do we feel like you have to be more thin, you have to be more muscular, you have to be more fit, you have to be more flexible, you have to be more toned, you have to be more lean, you have to be more smooth, you have to be more tight, you have to be more tanned, you have to be lighter, darker, curvier, thinner. There's so many, and most of the time they contradict. And there's so much oppression and racism as well. And I want us to learn unconditional love with our bodies. And that's what Body Bliss is about. It's about the journey toward body acceptance and maybe even love and bliss. But we're not putting the pressure on you to get there. Just start with acceptance. Just start with being open to hearing other people's stories and be curious to other people's stories. That's the thing, right? Because so many of us see someone different, see someone doing something differently with their bodies, and we go straight to judgment. Why do we do this? Because we're like herd animals. It's like we try to fit in with the herd, and when someone is acting differently, it's like, we we want everybody to be in line. We love it when everything makes sense and matches. That's why people are having such a hard time getting rid of the gender binary. So it's like, no, we had these two neat categories. Boo freaking who? You know what's better than two little, perfect categories? Freedom and liberation. Okay? I am living and fighting and working for a world that is liberated. That is what CUNTY is about. It's about us living our best lives, our most free lives, our most true lives, not working ourselves or hating ourselves or being conditional with ourselves. That is not the vibe. You are worthy now. Your body is worthy now. It's worthy tomorrow. It was worthy yesterday. It's worthy a year from now. It's worthy 50 years from now. You are inherently worthy. And I want us all to practice that more. And so I wrote this book also for the young version of me who went through these things and tucked all these stories and experiences away, shrouded in like pain and suffering and silence because I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed and alone. I didn't have anyone. Again, it goes back to representation. I didn't have anyone to talk to about this. I didn't know anyone who had body hair like me. Now, thank God, like that's one of the beautiful things about social media and the movement towards more body positivity and liberation is that we can find people who are going through or have gone through something similar to us. We can build community and safety in that, and visibility and representation. That's so beautiful. But I can also be that person for you. And that's why another reason why I wrote that book is to put a flag in the sky and say, I'm here. I'm here and I'm queer. I'm in this body and I'm learning to love it, and come join me. And if you want to do that for yourself too, I'm here. I really, really hope you pick up a copy, no matter if it's Kindle, ebook, or if it's physical copy with me. Just I really, really hope you do. And I hope you recommend it to people around you who maybe need just to hear some stories or want to just hear something different. Because 8 co-authors in this book shared very intimate personal stories of their own journeys through body acceptance. And they're all different and beautiful and unique and imperfect. But there's so much in it that we can connect on, so much common humanity and shared experiences that we can really connect on and find value and connection and purpose and self-worth in, knowing that we are inherently worthy in the bodies that we're in. We don't have to change a thing. That does not make us a better person. It doesn't mean anything about us. We can decide to go on a journey of body liberation and love. And that can look different for all of us. It can look similar, but we all have bodies and we all deserve to love them. We all deserve to just be free in them. That is fundamental. It's common humanity. We all have bodies, so we all deserve to be free in them. One story that I shared in the chapter, I'll give you a little sneak peek, was, I guess, the turning point, the catalyst for me. The catalyst for me that woke me up, so to speak, because so many of us have a moment in time or a catalyst event or something that is big enough to really shake us up and really make us go within and dig deep. And for me, that moment was the birth of my daughter. I didn't want to know the sex of the baby before she was born. I didn't care. I am not one to really care about gender and sex constructs and all that, as you know. And so when she was born and I realized that she was assigned female at birth, it just kind of dawned on me the responsibility, really, that I had to change and disrupt some cycles. I think that happens a lot as we become parents. We think about the cycles that we want to break. And that's part of it that's so beautiful, is that, and gives us so much meaning and purpose, is that we do our best to do the best we can for our kids and learn from things of when we were kids, right? And that's no shade to our parents. Like, we're all doing the best we can right now in the moment. Hindsight is 20/20 for everything, right? But I realized when she was born that, like, if I really wanted to teach her body love and positivity and loving yourself as you are, it wouldn't be enough for me to just preach it. I had to actually embody it. I just knew. I didn't even try. I was like, you know what? I already know that this is how it's going to have to be. I am not going to be able to really be a role model for her, because there's the key, right? Role models actually embody things that we want to embody. Role models don't usually just use their mouth. They usually act as well. So I knew that I would have to actually embody body acceptance and body love when it came to my body hair. Especially because she was my biological progeny, and there was a good chance, especially since she was born with a lot of hair on her head, a lot of hair on her body, I knew that there was a really good chance that she would have those genes that I had, or similar, right? So I knew right then and there. And literally the last time I fully shaved my legs, like with a razor down to like the smooth skin, was before the birth. Because of that BS that we tell ourselves of, I need to be ready. I need to be presentable. Fuck. There's so many more stories that I share in my chapter, and I can't wait for you to read them. I'm nervous because it's pulled from my vault. A lot of the things had been so shoved in the back corners that I hadn't even thought about in years and years and years. But I pulled it out specifically just to make space, make public space for you and for anyone who reads it that just needed to hear that, or feels inspired, or feels something shift inside, or some aha moment, or some permission slip, or some light bulb. That's so worth it for me. So incredibly worth it for me. Especially if you know young people. I mean, young people are constantly getting so much better, I think, at learning to love themselves as they are. I think I see that in a lot of young people these days, but if you know young people, they're still so impressionable and they see what societal patterns are, just like we did and just like we do still. So please feel free to share this book widely because it is such an important topic for everybody. We all have bodies and we all deserve to live freely in them. I love you so much. I'm dropping the link in the show notes, and this link will take you to the sign up page to put your name and email down, because I am working on the back end to get the physical copies here in Portugal. But also, if you're not in Portugal, then I can set you up with a distributor wherever you are. Alternatively, you can also order it on Amazon. It will be available on Amazon, but the proceeds will not go to the author in that case. So you have options. If you want the proceeds to go to an author, we have me here in Portugal and Europe, I guess, because it'll be really easy for me to ship in Europe. And then we have authors in the US and we have authors in Canada. And if any of those are not represented, then let me know where you are or order on Amazon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you hearing this and supporting us in this project. I'm so excited for it to be out in the world. I can't believe that I am officially a published author. It's a dream come freaking true. And I love that it's a co-author project because community building and doing things together and connection is like my favorite thing. So when you get your copy, please, 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 please take a picture, tag me on Instagram or send it to me. It will just make my day. I love you so much. Thank you for your continued support here on the podcast, of the upcoming book, and any other ways that you support the CUNTY movement, the mission, my work. I am so, so thankful. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, stay CUNTY. Thank you so much for listening to CUNTY Life and Biz Realness today. Someone in your circle needs to hear this. Can you share it and leave a review on Apple Podcasts so this CUNTY movement can grow? And don't forget to tag me on Instagram at Naomi_authentically. I appreciate you so much and cannot wait to connect with you. You can always head over to cuntycoaching.com to work with me, join my events, my CUNTY email chronicles, and more. I hope you have a fulfilling week, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. This is your CUNTY coach, Naomi, signing off.